One last thing I want to talk about specifically in regards to proportions is the CPI. And CPI is, you can see here on page 41, there's a definition of CPI. I really think that the concept of a basket of goods is a helpful way to think about it. So I imagine myself with a shopping cart and I'm going to the supermarket and I'm getting eggs and I'm getting a gallon of milk and I'm getting a pound of ground beef. And at the end, I add all that up. And if I had a time machine, I would just go and do that in different years. Are essentially, they're kind of the average price for a set number of things that I'm buying in the economy. And in general, what you see from this table, starting at the bottom, 1977, the CPI was $60. And then going up here, the CPI is $245. In general, the prices of goods and services goes up. That happens. That's called inflation, and it's just a natural thing that happens in economies. I don't have an explanation for why it happens, but it does. So that's an important conceptual thing to wrap your head around, because you shouldn't be surprised over 5 years when prices go up. Not really talking about things like gas prices, because gas prices are way more volatile. Those are probably the thing that jumps into your head when I say the prices are changing, because those prices change a lot and they change rapidly. Yes, it's true. In general, gas prices get more expensive over time, just like everything else, but they also can go up and down a lot more than, say, the price of gas. So let's do the CPI here. Our wheels. Now, this example on the front of page 41 is about a McDonald's hamburger. In 1979, apparently it cost 38 cents. I wasn't alive then. You can use CPI to come up with an estimate for how much that hamburger would cost in 2015. Now, the important thing to remember here is to not use 1979 and 2015 to answer the question, but to use those numbers to go to the table and get the CPI numbers and then put those into your proportion. So they've got two different setups here for you. I'm going to give you a minute to get that set up and do the calculation. Remember, multiply diagonally, divide by the other number. Okay, so here's one of the ways that you could set this problem up. And again, there's consistency here. These are CPI values. These are prices. This is 2015. This is 1979. So I'm being consistent as I set up my proportion. So were you able to calculate the answer? How much are we predicting that the hamburger would have cost in 2015?
The answer I got was 124.
Good. $1.24 is the rounded answer. And again, it's not exactly the way the answer comes out, but you do want to be empowered to round here. And we're talking about money. So even without any instructions, we should feel like rounding to the hundredths place to get the best answer that we can get. Right? A dollar probably is too much rounding. We want to go to the nearest cent. Now, that's not how much the hamburger actually cost in 2015, and there's some regional differences in how much hamburgers cost, depending on which McDonald's you go to and where you are. But the point is that inflation can be used as a tool to kind of look and make predictions and think about how things have changed. Now, one of the things which I think is most helpful, it's a little hard to imagine a person really doing this problem in relation to their own life. But here's something that I could kind of imagine doing myself, since I'm pretty comfortable with math. If I had a question like, Ben made $40,000 in 2015, so what he should be making in 2017, using CPI to figure it out. So one of the things about salary and income is that if you're not getting a raise from year to year, you're actually falling behind. And that's because all the other prices are going up. So that can be difficult, because if you have a job that you like, but they're not giving you raises, then you're actually kind of slowly, steadily doing worse in the economy that you live in. So you have to make decisions about how to, approach that issue. So go ahead and see. This is a good quantitative cheeseburger problem. You got to read the words, interpret it, build the proportion, do the math calculation, and reinterpret it at the end. So I'll give you a couple minutes for that. Okay, well, I got one person shared something with me, looked pretty good. So you could do 2015 on the left, you can do 2017 on the right. Put the salary up here, put the CPI down here. 2015 CPI is 237.017, and 2017 CPI is 245.12, and there's my proportion. So again, there's flexibility in how you set this up. You just want to kind of find a way that makes sense to you. From here, you're just multiplying across and dividing. Pretty straightforward. And then you got to make a rounding decision because this is about money. So you could round to the nearest cent, you could round to the nearest dollar. Both of those would be good answers. This is how Excel rounds it. Right? So just from a personal standpoint, if I was making 40,000 in 2015, in 2017, if I haven't got almost $1,400 of raises, then I'm not doing as well as I need to be to just keep up, right? And it's probably not super noticeable, but over 5 years, 10 years, right? That kind of thing can have a really dramatic effect. And actually, a lot of research shows that this is one of the big problems of the last 30 years is that wage growth for most Americans has not kept up with inflation. And so people who used to be doing well actually have fallen way behind and are now struggling in the economy that we live in because they're not making enough to pay the bills.